county fairs I enjoy too. You know, some of those are so much fun because for me growing up, if you had somebody come in with, let's say, 2 hits, they're just popping on the radio or on the scene, maybe 3 hits, whatever. I mean, you think you're watching Elvis Presley.
We're out here at Country Thunder, Arizona, and are so thrilled to be joined by multi-platinum artist Justin Moore. Some of his biggest chart-topping hits have been songs like Small Town USA, If Heaven Wasn't So Far Away, and Beta Hook. Ever since he broke out in country scene in 2009, he had one goal: to stay true to himself. After nearly 2 decades, Justin continues to make deep personal music that stays true to his roots and to his fans. His latest album, This Is My Dirt, is out now, and you can catch him on tour all summer long. Please join me in welcoming Justin Moore to the bus. Welcome.
Happy to be here, man. We appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we're looking forward to a great show tonight.
We are too.
Let's go back to like the beginnings, your childhood, where you came from. So you grew up in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about how that was.
I grew up in a really small town of about 300 people in Arkansas. You know, blue collar folks, God-fearing, all the cliche small town stuff you can come up with. You know, it's kind of like the set of Varsity Blues on during whatever sport was in season at the time. Everything shuts down. Everybody goes to whatever game it is, and but a great way to grow up, a great place to grow up. Family was super important to most everyone. Everybody, you know, in high school was going, we can't wait to get the heck out of Dodge, and then we didn't leave, or they didn't leave, or they're back for the most part. You know, it's one of those kind of towns, but it was great, man. And I was way into sports growing up. I played baseball and basketball. When I graduated high school, I started, you know, thinking about maybe going to school and playing baseball. That was my favorite. Anybody out there watching that knows anything about me knows I'm a bit vertically challenged. So basketball, you know, I could hold my own in my weight class, but I wasn't going to go to college and do that. And so I thought about attempting to go play baseball. And about that time I started playing music. My uncle had a Southern rock band, and I would jump up and play with him anytime I could. And, you know, I always sang in church because my parents made me. But yeah, when I graduated high school, I went to college for literally 2 weeks and came home and told my parents, I don't think I'm going back to school. And they go, why, are you sick? I go, no, like ever. And they knew that I wanted to pursue music at some point. And so a few months after high school, moved to Nashville. I was 18, and, you know, just lucky that my parents were supportive. You know, my wife and I have 4 kids, and if they came in and told me that at 18, I'd be like,
wait a second.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
So I don't know why my parents were the way that they were, but I'm thankful that they were.
You're a guitar player. Did you write on guitar? Is that your instrument?
Yeah, so when I moved to town, I moved there in 2002, and it was still, you know, you're using a little recorder.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
It's all work tapes, and you're booking your sessions. I was lucky when I had been there maybe a year to get a publishing deal. I got paid $12,000 a year though, so it's one of those kind of deals. But it allowed me to meet a lot of people, and it allowed me to really learn how to write a song, because I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I'm in the room with guys that I really didn't deserve to be in a room with, you know, but fortunately I could sing, so I think they thought, you know, there may be something here down the road. So it was still what I consider old school, you know. Then there was no writing and building a track at the same time, and then you got the track done when you get finished writing the song, and none of that existed. It was
not like today.
You know, no, it wasn't like that, and I enjoy doing that, but I still write on guitar.
That's great. Yeah, we at Country Thunder here, we have a songwriters tent. That we just celebrate the songwriter, because I think that's in this format especially, such, you know, the songwriter is such an important element to the greatest song.
I 100% agree.
I noticed that you write a lot of your own material, which is pretty cool, because, you know, to our listeners, there's a lot of artists that may or may not participate in the songwriting.
Right. I almost think it's more difficult to pick songs that you had nothing to do with, you know, being in the room writing them. There's a knack to that. And the fact that, you know, those guys have done it for that long and picked so many great songs. I have cut outside songs, but I write the majority of what I do. And I think it's kind of easier to weed through your own, but I've never been an artist that goes, I've got to write everything.
Right.
You know, best song wins.
Yep.
To me. The fans, in my opinion, deserve to get the best music, regardless whose name is on it.
Well, let's talk about your hits, because you've had some big ones. Yeah.
We've been really lucky.
The first hit.
Really
What was
lucky.
your first hit?
My first hit was Small Town USA.
Yes.
And
was it 2009?
that's probably when it peaked.
Right.
We put it out, I think, in '08. Yeah, we had put a single out before that called Back That Thing Up. It went straight to 38 and straight down. And I thought, oh boy. And, you know, at the time, because I signed my deal in '07, at the time, talking about how the industry and songwriting is different, the whole entire industry is different, as you well know. If you had a couple, 2 or 3 singles that missed,
Yeah.
you got dropped. They didn't, nowadays the label will stick with you for years and albums, and, you know, it's just changed in that regard. So when the label wanted to put out Small Town USA after our first single that flopped, I thought, I dig this song because I wrote it about kind of being homesick, and I understand it and I get it, but I don't know if it will appeal to the masses. And fortunately, I was wrong, and it did. And now it took, like, at the time that it went #1, I think Lee Bryce and I broke each other's record there for a few years on the longest life of a song.
Yeah.
I think it took.
I think you have the record.
I might.
think-
Yeah.
yeah.
It's usually over the last 17, 18 years been Lee or myself.
Who's a great
So,
guy.
Great guy. Great artist.
Lovely
too.
Bryce.
Yeah.
Great guy.
I mean, it changed my life. I mean, you know, like our first single from our second album, we were done with the album, or I thought so, and so did my producer, and take it into the label, and they're like, I don't think you got a single. And we're going, great, just what we want to hear. And I had just lost my grandpa, who was my hero. I heard If Heaven Wasn't So Far Away.
That was a
And
big hit.
it was a big record for us. I think we had 3 ended up off the first album that were pretty big records, but that one kind of, you know, it helped us immediately break the sophomore slump.
Yep.
You know, until then we had done Small Town, kind of that kind of deal, and then we did a couple of raucous kind of hillbilly redneck kind of things, and it helped me not become pigeonholed as just this little redneck from Arkansas who likes to drink beer.
Sing a beer song.
Right.
Yeah.
And that song, when I got it, was 10 years old.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, I saw Luke Bryan at CRS week. You know how crazy that is.
Crazy for you guys. Yeah, absolutely.
And for those out there watching that may not know, it's country radio seminar. It's literally every artist, everybody in the industry, and you're bumping into each other at all these different places. And
Everybody wants a pound of flesh, right?
yeah, and Luke and I had become friends because one of the first tours I did was, just tell you how long ago it was. I was first, and I had put out 2 singles, but Small Town was the only hit
Right.
at the time. If it was even at the time, it may not have been. Luke Bryan was the middle act, and I think he maybe had his 3rd song out at the time. He was just ahead of me. His were working though. But so I'd gotten to know Luke a little bit before that, kind of before we both had record deals, and then we got to know each other even better out on that tour. And I'll never forget, because a good friend of Luke's wrote Heaven. He was one of the co-writers on Heaven, Dallas Davidson.
Great writer.
Great writer. So back to the song, it was 10 years old at the time, and I'm going, how has this not been cut? Red Akins had cut it on an album, but it never came out as a single or anything. And so I see Luke at CRS, and he goes, I'm pissed at you. And I'm like, what did I do? I mean, you know how goofy Luke is. I love him, but
He's a jokester.
yeah. And I'm like, I know he's not really mad at me, but I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, Dallas and Rhett and Rob Hatch, another great songwriter who's on the song, they've been trying to get me to cut that song for years and years. And I'm like, well, you're a dumbass. Like, how did you not hear that? I said, I heard it one time and know it's a hit. He goes, I don't know. And so anyway, we've all as artists had those moments where I've passed on songs, and then so and so, Lee, talking about Lee, I passed on Drinking Class, had it on hold for a year.
Big song for Lee.
Big, huge song. And my wife's going, you need to cut that song. You need to cut that song. I'm like, and at the time it was my third album. I had a song that was similar, and I thought, let me go with this one. Here's when you know you mess up, is because the moment it comes off hold for you, somebody gets it like that, and that's what happened. I go,
As soon as it snatched up,
dadgummit.
Damn, I made a mistake.
Yeah, I made a mistake there. Dadgummit. But I'm a firm believer, not to be too artsy fartsy, that songs kind of land where they're supposed to. We've all had them go both directions.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, every artist has had that
Right.
experience,
Yeah.
right?
Everybody's got that story or stories.
Let's talk about your relationship with your grandfather.
Yeah,
As you lost your grandfather.
I did.
And that song obviously was picked because of the inspiration, right?
I grew up really close to all of my grandparents. So the land that I grew up on, my mother was raised there by her mom and dad.
Okay.
And the other grandfather, and then I'll get to the one that about the song. But he was raised on this land by his grandfather. So it's been our family since the late 1800s. Wow. So he raised my mom and her siblings there. And when my wife and I made the decision after we had our first child in 2010, we made the decision to move back from Nashville to Arkansas, and we went back to my hometown of 300 people. Now it's like 306 because there's 6 of us. Yeah. But it still hadn't grown. We have gotten a Dollar General now, but there's no stoplights. I tell people that, and they're like, "What about a Walmart?" I'm like, "No, y'all don't understand. When I say there's nothing, there is nothing."
So that's Poyen, right?
Yeah, there's a gas station.
Where's it close to?
Home. It's between Little Rock and Hot Springs, kind of. I'm about 45, 50 miles south of Little Rock.
Sure.
But yeah, when we moved back, we were looking for land, and my grandfather goes, "Why don't you just buy this?" He goes, "Nobody else can take care of this much land, and I know it means something to you." And so I got a pretty good friends and family discount, but yeah, we bought that, and that's where we're raising our kids now. And I mean, if you look out my front door, about 1,000 yards across a pond and a cow pasture is my mom and dad's house that they still live in, that I was raised in. Oh, wow. So it's neat, man. You know, we 4-wheelers and we fish.
Were you an only child?
All that. I am an only child.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. As a kid, I hated it. As a young kid, because I wanted somebody to play with.
Yeah. When
I was like a teenager, it was pretty cool. It was, you didn't have to compete with nobody for anything, attention or vehicles or any of that kind of deal. And then now as an adult, I wish I had a sibling.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so.
But we have our kids.
And so that was one of my grandfathers, and he has since passed a couple of years ago. He was my last living grandparent, and grew up really close to him. But my end all be all, my hero outside of my parents was my grandpa, my dad's dad.
Yeah.
He was healthy as could be, mid-60s, and then just all of a sudden got cancer. Nobody out there watching or in this bus has been unaffected by
100%
cancer. So, and he died unexpectedly pretty quickly, and I had a pretty difficult time with that. But it was within a year of that I had heard the song, and I thought, man, I gotta record that, because I had learned at that point, in particular with Small Town USA, because I had the thought process that I don't know if other people can relate to it unless they grew up the way that I did. But I've learned if it's close to me, something that, whether it's something I'm going through, the loss of somebody close to me, or whether it's, something we're celebrating or whatever, that is probably personal to a lot of other people out there. And so that was another example of that.
That's amazing. And to get your perspective on that is a really cool thing, because I met one of the legendary songwriters of all time, Harlan Howard.
Oh, wow.
When I was playing hockey.
Legend of legends.
Got sent to Nashville, pre-Predators. They had a team there was San Jose Swarm team called the Nashville Knights. And he dropped the puck at one of our games. I'm like, who's Harlan Howard? So after the game, we went to Skull Sherman's place, which is Skull's steakhouse now. And Skull was still alive then.
Right.
Down there, had a few drinks with him, and like finding out the songs that he had written. He's one of the most accomplished songwriters in the history of country music.
Yeah, and you're sitting there and your mind's blown.
Totally blown.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a pretty cool deal, you know. And but that's awesome. So let's talk about the tour.
Yeah.
Where are you hitting this summer?
We're kind of all over. We've been on the West Coast 2 or 3 times already, which
wow.
is a kind of a rarity.
Yeah.
You know, and usually when we come out here, we try to stay
You try to get a route.
10 days
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But we've been doing a couple of, you know, 2-show weekends and that kind of stuff. We've been in Arizona. We've been in California. We're fixing to get into a lot of the festival type stuff, you know. I mean, we've done so many tours with other artists over the years, which I love. I really enjoy. This is my 18th year on the road, which is hard to believe. Fortunately, I can be a little more selective about what we do. And, you know, we're going out and we'll do, you know, the fairs and, again, some of these big
Joe
festivals.
Nichols opening for us.
Yeah, we got, that's what I was going to say. I really try to just go out and do stuff with guys that I'm genuinely really good friends with. And Joe and I have become friends over the last, I'd say 7-8 years. You know, Tracy Lawrence and I went out and did a deal together a few years ago, which was for me a blast because I grew up a huge fan of Tracy Lawrence, and he's from Arkansas.
He was a great guy.
He is, man. We always talk about, he's just got a swag about him.
I love T.L.
You know.
Known him a long time.
Yeah, great guy. He is from Foreman,
Arkansas.
Yeah.
We see his homecoming show there.
You used to do that?
With him.
Oh, that was a huge, see, when I was a kid, that was a huge deal.
Yeah, we used to do that show with him. That's how I met T.L.
I never got to go because I was young at the time.
Yeah.
But I know it was a big deal to like all the high school girls, and you know, because he was the sex symbol and the whole thing. And Joe's from Rogers, Arkansas, so that 3 Arkansas guys are.
I remember when Joe used to wear a white shirt, black pants, and a black tie every night.
Really?
Oh yeah, asked him about that. It was a great look though, and it was so like you would have thought he was like more of a contemporary artist, and he came out and plays some great music, right? And the voice is amazing.
Yeah, he's a
great artist.
He really is, man. He's an incredible.
He's underrated. I don't understand.
I agree. I mean, his albums, he does a really good job of cutting albums. Pick another guy that picks really good songs. To answer your question, we'll go out and do some stuff like that. We've had an opportunity to go out and tour with so many people over the years that you're just like, well, how did we wind up here? Like, we don't deserve to be here. Act like you belong.
Does the family come out on the road with you much?
They did when my kids were out of school, but now I have a almost 16-year-old daughter, have an almost 14-year-old daughter, and an almost 11-year-old daughter, and then my son's 7, almost 8. So, I mean, they're so involved in sports and
they got their own lives, right?
Yeah, they're like, during the summer when they're out of school, my wife never wants to come. I'll be like, hey, you want to go? I'm going to Chicago for like a day or 2. You want to go? She's like, are we flying? I go, no, we're going on the bus. She goes, I'll see you when you get back. Now, the kids, in particular the younger ones, I'll take a couple at a time out with me, and we don't have babysitters or nannies or anything. I mean, my tour managers you see back here or the help.
I feel very confident with them.
Yeah.
You're the safety of your
Yeah. Most of my band and crew have been with me for so long. I mean, they remember, they were at the hospital when my kids were born. Wow. And so they got a whole lot of uncles and one aunt out here. They come out when they're out of school and they don't have stuff going on, which I love. But yeah, we'll do that, the fairs and festivals, and then, like I said, we've done a bunch of tours with other people. We've done a lot of our own, hard ticket tours over the years, and really enjoy that as well.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy a mixture of all of the above.
Like every kind of concert setting.
Yeah, I really like the arenas. Yeah. But I would miss not doing the festival type stuff where it's an all day thing and you get to say hey to your buddies, and
yeah, it's kind of like a hang.
Yeah, it really kind of like a family reunion, And I always say like obviously the state fairs, but the county fairs I enjoy too. Some of those are so much fun because for me growing up, if you had somebody come in with, let's say, 2 hits. Yeah. they're just popping on the radio or on the scene, maybe 3 hits, whatever. I mean, you think you're watching Elvis Presley.
Absolutely.
Because they're coming to these little bitty towns, and I'm like, and then there's, there's 2,000 people in the town, and there's 6,000 people at the show. Yeah, and so
I love the county fairs.
yeah, that was the ones I got to go to growing up. I saw Clint Black and Diamond Rio, and like all these Charlie Daniels, and so I enjoy that too, because I know the 12-year-old out there that maybe don't get the opportunity to go into the whatever major city in the area. Maybe the parents can't afford that ticket, or it sells out whatever. And so I enjoy that because I was that kid.
I love the fair business.
Yeah.
I think that the history of country music is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's where they played, before country music was touring, they played the fairs.
Yeah.
And then when I was a kid growing up, the country music wasn't an arena act.
Right.
It didn't happen until Alabama. When Alabama hit, it was like, well, Kenny Rogers, but he was kind of a crossover act.
You're right. Yeah.
But then Alabama hit, and Randy Travis hit, George hit,
Garth
hit,
and everything's
voila, right?
boom.
So it's an exciting place to be, isn't it? Country music has a really good vibe right now.
It does, man. And selfishly, I'm a more traditional artist. Obviously, we doggy paddled for a while during the to stay afloat during the
bro country.
I didn't name it bro country. Everybody gets offended by that.
Named it?
Hell, I don't know.
No, I just remember
But
George Lyon.
It just it wasn't really my personal thing. If I turn on the radio, that ain't what I want to hear. But clearly, there was an audience for it.
Yeah.
But we didn't really do that, and we kind of, I'm proud of the fact that
You just plowed through it, right?
we just kind of kept doing our thing, and for whatever reason, radio stuck with us, and I mean, people like yourself stuck with us, kept giving us business on the road, and now it's kind of come back to more
Oh yes, it's
of
definitely swinging in a different
what
direction.
we've always done, which selfishly, I'm like, yeah, awesome.
And it's great. And I mean,
There's room for all of it. That's what I've always
see,
said.
that's the beautiful thing, right? If you're a country fan, in most cases, you're a country fan for everything.
Yeah.
And that's different than a pop fan, where you're isolated on certain things that you dig or you don't dig or whatever. But country music seems to have this united fan base that is so special. And I don't think we've lost that.
I agree.
I think that still exists today.
I agree.
You can mix up these lineups on these festivals, and
I think the fans can see through the BS.
absolutely.
If you're genuine and real, I don't care if you're pop country, rap country, rock country, country. If you're real with them, they're going to dig it.
100%.
I mean, I've just always said that. And I've always believed that.
I agree. Name me 3 artists that inspired you to do what you do today.
Charlie Daniels, top of the list.
Oh, what a loss.
Man, I got an opportunity. A lot of us playing shows together through the years and stuff, just festivals
Just a
and
great
fairs and that kind of stuff. But I got an opportunity, I don't know, maybe the last 5-6 years of his life, to get to know him and become pretty close. I mean, he reminded me a lot of my grandfather, and he treated me as such. I don't know why he was so kind to me, but he just always was. And I'll never forget the first time I'm playing the Opry ever. This is like '08, and I'm nervous as all get out. And somebody comes from my label and goes, "You want to meet Charlie Daniels?" I'm like,
Of course.
"Yes. Are you kidding me?" And Charlie could tell. This is the first time we ever met. He could tell I was nervous. He's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "I'm pretty nervous, man." I said, first of all, I'm nervous to meet him because he's one of my heroes.
Sure.
So I'm already freaking out about that.
Of course.
And then debuting on the Opry, I said, I never get nervous to play music, ever. I don't, except for church and the Opry.
Sure.
And he goes, "That's because it means something to you. If it didn't make you nervous, you ought not be here."
Really?
And I've never forgot that. I looked up to him just as a man. Obviously an artist, he was brilliant.
That was brilliant.
But just as a man, as a Christian, like, he really inspires me today still. As far as musically, Hank Jr., I'm a hybrid of traditional sounding country and Southern rock. I always loved Southern rock, Skinner, Allman Brothers, ZZ Top, you know, all those guys. And I thought he did it probably as well. Both of those guys, Charlie and him, did it as well or better than anybody. And then 3, boy, that's tough. Probably got to go George Strait. Had the opportunity to play a show in Little Rock, which is right near my house, with him. I saw they announced he was coming, and I called my booking agent, who you know. I'm like, I don't care if they even paid me, but if somebody else opens this show,
It's not me.
and it's not me, I'm gonna be livid.
I love it.
I don't know if we made a dime that night, but it didn't make a dime.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Man, I had some experience with George Strait that were so amazing. We played him up in Canada in like 2010, and it was a perfect night. There was no wind. It was about 75 degrees up, and it just was a magical moment. And such a nice guy. He came and asked me. They played the Calgary Stampede the night before. He came into our show, Country Thunder, on a Sunday. He tracks me down and asks me it's all right if he stays overnight on the site on his bus. I'm like, well, yes, sir. It was the first $1 million check I ever signed to an artist.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got him to autograph the back of it.
Wow.
He took a copy of it.
It's amazing.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, he's it's like he's not even real. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get starstruck or
He's different though, man.
he's different.
Yeah. Justin, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
What a great conversation.
Yeah, man, I really
Dude, I could go all
enjoyed it.
night
I
with
could
I
too.
drink some beers and hang out.
We can do that next time. How about that?
Absolutely. But thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
I want to thank Justin Moore for being on the bus with Country Thunder. I'm Troy Vollhoffer, and please come visit one of our festivals. Thank you very much. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Such a blessing to get a chance to talk to these incredible artists backstage. But my favorite moments are always with the fans. So this summer we decided to honor Country Thunder's 1 millionth fan. So this is a reward to have a lifetime pass to Country Thunder if you are the 1 millionth fan. They get platinum tickets for life, camping for life, and to their loyalty to Country Thunder and to country music. It's an awesome gift. So we're looking forward to seeing our 1 millionth fan. Stay tuned. Big thanks again to Justin for joining me on the bus today. If you want to catch Justin on tour, head to justinmoore.com for tour dates. And if you're able to check out those dates in June, when he's joined by Joe Nichols, it should be an amazing duo. Be sure to follow Country Thunder on all our social platforms at Country Thunder. We have new episodes dropping bi-monthly. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you know when the new episodes hit the feed.